Man gets Donald Trump's mugshot tattooed on leg just hours after election arrest. People have been left in hysterics after a man got Donald Trump's mugshot tattooed onto his leg just hours after he was arrested. A tattoo parlor in Las Vegas, Nevada, has shared how one man decided to get the historic image inked on his thigh, just above a tattoo of the Statue of Liberty holding a gun. Showing off the tattoo on Instagram, artist Vegas Vic Tattoos wrote, "I know mugshots, this is the best mugshot, truly great mugshot. Sleepy Joe doesn't have a mugshot, but believe me, it would be a terrible mugshot." Commenting on the post, the South African man who now lives in Las Vegas wrote, "I love it, bro. Thank you so much for this masterpiece." While most users couldn't help but laugh at the artwork, others commented on how quickly they managed to pull it off. One user said, "This is so dope. You did a fabulous job." Another user added, "The teardrop is the perfect touch, laughing face emoji." A third user said, "That was too quick, sheesh." One more user added, "Lock him up. LOL." However, not everyone liked the portrait, with one user saying, "Oh gross. What's wrong with people?" while another added, "What a moronic thing to do. What are you going to do next, add prison bars over it?" When analyzing the mugshot, a body language expert claimed Trump tried to come across as intimidating and defiant through the image. Former cop Darren Stanton claims the mugshot shows the former president believes he will be acquitted of all charges. Stanton, who has a degree in psychology and has appeared on The One Show and This Morning, drew these conclusions from Trump's eyes and eyebrow positioning. He described Trump as easy to read as he wears his heart on his chest. Trump's mugshot was taken when he was arrested at Fulton County Jail in Atlanta on fraud charges following his interference in the 2020 election and accusations of inciting violence from his supporters. It is the first time a U.S. president has ever had a mugshot taken. Moment millionaire announces his fiancée is cheating on him in engagement party speech. Krispy Kreme apologizes after racist donut advert branded an absolute disgrace. Krispy Kreme has issued a groveling apology after one of its promotional campaigns featured an offensive racial slur. The popular donut franchise brought out a series of adverts in Australia that celebrates people coming together for events like birthday parties, life milestones, and sports games. In each advert, donuts replace the letter O in certain words such as movie and footy. However, in one advert the word congrats was changed to congrats. The word coon is an offensive and derogatory slang term or slur used to refer to a person of color. All congrats-related adverts have now been pulled and Krispy Kreme has apologized. Krispy Kreme's marketing director Olivia Sutherland told Mumbrella, "We never intended to offend any person or group. We are sorry for the oversight and have removed all congratulations-related ads from the campaign." Dr. Stephen Hagan, a Queensland-based author and anti-racism campaigner, branded the Krispy Kreme gaffe an absolute disgrace and called for a boycott of the brand. He said, "It's an absolute disgrace that in 2023, someone thinks they can come up with an ad like that on a product that is very popular with people of color. The word has put my family and my people through so much trauma and it's just disgraceful to see this happening." Moment millionaire announces his fiancée is cheating on him in engagement party speech. A millionaire Italian banker caused a major public spat when he made a speech at his engagement party accusing his partner of cheating on him. Massimo Segre, 64, held the party in his Turin mansion with no intention of going on to marry his partner Cristina Saimandi, 47. Massimo accused Cristina of being in love with another man mentally and sexually, leaving him heartbroken. Cristina has since hit back at what she described as an intentional humiliation and an act of psychological violence. After a video of the shocking incident went viral, Cristina has been subjected to death threats. Torinese high society watched on in shock as Massimo made the incredible announcement amid a lavish party full of the region's rich and powerful. Cristina stood right beside him and remained impressively straight-faced while looking around the room for support, but the 150-strong audience remained dead silent as the cheating allegations were read out. Massimo began, "I want to give Cristina the freedom to love. Specifically, to love another person, a notable lawyer, who she clearly cares about more than me. Dear Cristina, I know how much you are in love with him mentally and sexually. And I know that before him you had a relationship with an industrialist acquaintance. Don't think it pleases me to look like a cuckold in front of all of you," Massimo added. He shared photos of Cristina with another man as he read the damning speech. "Cristina is so good at telling her truths, that I couldn't leave her alone to narrate the reason why I'm ending our life together tonight. It's a banal story of infidelity, even premarital. I am so disappointed, I am heartbroken." Massimo aimed to end the speech on a more conciliatory note, offering that they could continue a professional collaboration after her return from Mykonos with her other lover. He wished Christina happiness and told her to continue shining in the world that you have done all these years. Writing to the director of Zona Bianca TV news program, Christina fired back at Massimo's act of psychological violence and his meticulously planned revenge, the Daily Mail reported. Her advisor says legal action will be taken for reputational damage and the very serious attacks on social media and threats from Italian citizens, which she describes as traumatic. Claudio Strada, Christina's lawyer, repeated that the banker had intentionally humiliated her, noting that the letter was read out to many people, captured in a video, and sent to the newspapers. "We don't think this was improvised," Mr. Strada added. Massimo denies having published the video nor having allowed it to be filmed, and since his speech has accused Christina of stealing £598,000 from the couple's account. Christina contends the money was consensually transferred before the end of the relationship. In an interview with La Stampa, Christina said she thought Massimo had gone crazy at the party. "He was very tired at the time," she said. "I am sure there's someone behind him who fanned the flames. In short, manipulated him." Christina added, "It was a farce, let's face it. Serious things are resolved another way. Now I will consider whether to sue him." Her friend Viviana Ferrero, former vice president of Turin City Council, described it as a sexist, chauvinist, violent, horrendous lynching. The situation is particularly complicated as Christina is professionally tied into some of the businesses which Massimo is a key figure of. She is a businesswoman who has held roles in politics throughout an eventful career. The pair met during the pandemic, and as a result their wedding was delayed twice. Peppa Pig's horrifying front face has been revealed and it's not suitable for kids. Kids may love it, but mums and dads everywhere probably find themselves a little too familiar with the world of Peppa Pig and its mysteries. The phenomenally successful and much-loved animation has been broadcast in 180 territories and in over 40 languages. But there are some important questions about the anthropomorphic pig which remain unanswered. Why are Peppa and George in the same class at school? Why do some animals get to basically be human, while others still walk on all fours and can't talk? And, what does Peppa Pig look like face on? We don't have answers to the first two questions, but the last one can finally be answered and it's terrifying. A creative illustrator on Twitter worked out what Peppa would look like when she faced you squarely, and it sort of ruins the entire show. The post caused chaos on Twitter, as many were horrified to see Peppa was left looking like a mutant pig with 4 eyes. "The front face of Peppa Pig makes me uncomfortable," one wrote, while another traumatized viewer added, "I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight." The image was described as the stuff that nightmares are made of, with many confused as to how Peppa ended up with extra eyes. LMAO, how did she end up gaining 2 more eyes and nostrils for the front view? One disturbed user asked. "I've been laughing at this for an hour, help," one terrified fan added, while others were puzzled by Peppa's extra features. "I mean, technically, wouldn't she have 2 snouts?" they asked, while one tweeted, "There are no words, my niece is like Peppa, I will show them this and scare them into reality." And one poor viewer was left with the startling image in their heads every time they watched the kids' show. "Peppa Pig is on in the waiting room we're sitting in, and I can't unsee that left face/front face/right face drawing," they shared. The cartoon, which first aired in 2004, has been delighting kids around the world, with some American parents complaining their children have now adopted a fake British accent following watching the show. But Peppa Pig caused big problems in Australia recently, as it was revealed an episode was banned in the country because of a safety concern. In the episode Spider Web, which first aired in 2011, Peppa Pig and her family are reunited with Mr. Skinny Legs the spider, who has found his way inside the home once again. Peppa and George are fond of the cute little arachnid, while Mummy Pig screams and insists Daddy Pig take the spider outside. "Don't be scared, Mummy," Peppa says gently, as they watch Daddy Pig take the spider down to the bottom of the garden and watch him spin a web. But the message to children that they shouldn't be afraid of spiders concerned one viewer in Australia, who complained that it was the wrong message to give to children in Australia, as the country is home to the most dangerous spiders in the world. And the most deadly spider is the male funnel web spider, which looks scarily similar to Mr. Skinny Legs, prompting the Australian Broadcasting Corporation to ban the episode from TV screens and online. Mum fumes at plane passenger watching inappropriate show next to her young son. Let's face it, traveling by public transport for hours on end isn't the most exciting activity. For many of us, part of the planning for a long trip by train or plane involves packing a book to read or downloading a few episodes of whatever show we're currently engrossed in to help the hours pass by a little quicker. But one mum was left furious on a recent flight after the stranger sat next to her son decided that his in-flight entertainment was going to consist of episodes of an adult show with nudity in it, which caught the attention of her child. The mum was sat in the aisle seat for the flight, with her son who was described as being between 8 and 10 years old in the middle seat, and the stranger had the window.ina post on Reddit shared by the man in the situation. He explained that the show he was watching was The Sopranos, and while the particular episodes he watched didn't contain any violence, there were several scenes that took place inside a strip club, which caused the mom to complain. However, the man refused to stop watching the show because he didn't have any other forms of entertainment with him, and instead just told the mom to swap seats with her son. He wrote, "I'm on a 3-hour flight and have the window seat in a plane. In the middle seat next to me sits an 8 to 10-year-old kid, and in the aisle seat, his mother. I have my iPad with me and had downloaded several episodes of the TV show The Sopranos to watch on the flight. As soon as I get seated I pop open the iPad and start to watch. Now in the show, several scenes take place in a strip club Tony Soprano owns, and you can see the dancers who are not wearing any clothes except a thong. The kid next to me has an iPhone and is playing some game I couldn't recognize, but after a short while stops and starts paying attention to my screen. The mom notices, takes a glance and then taps me on the shoulder. She says, 'Hey, excuse me, would you mind watching something else? That is not appropriate to watch in front of a child or in public spaces.' And I say, 'Look, I'm sorry, I don't have anything else to watch or read. You can't really expect me to be 3 hours on this plane doing nothing.' I then proceed to tilt the screen towards me and continue watching. But her kid still seems interested and ignores his mom. The mom then starts complaining out loud about how rude and inappropriate it is. After a while, I just say, 'If you are that bothered, either switch sits with your son or move somewhere else in the plane.' She then gave me the stink eye before switching places with her son. We didn't talk again for the remainder of the flight. As we were exiting the plane though, she again starts complaining to someone who I assume was her husband, sitting a couple rows up front, about how people can be so inconsiderate. I just laughed it off and said whatever. It is true I had nothing else. If I had a book or some other shows I would have accepted her request. I talked with my friend when I got home and he said that perhaps I should have thought more about my choice of show to watch on a plane. I honestly didn't think beforehand, just downloaded The Sopranos episodes because it's the show I'm currently watching. I don't really like to start new shows until I finish the one I'm currently on." In later updates to his post, the man explained there was foul language in the episodes, but as he had headphones on and no subtitles, the only adult themes the boy could see to was the nudity. He also said the plane did not have any screens for him to watch something else, and insisted the only option would have been for him to pay for the Wi-Fi on the flight and use his phone or iPad to browse social media instead. Commenters on the post were split, as although they believed the man hadn't inherently done anything wrong, many could also understand why the mom would be upset with him. One person said, "As a parent, I would have switched seats and ended the problem without even talking to you. Now, if it was a world where the kid couldn't go anywhere else, and you weren't trying to tilt the screen, I might have a different opinion." While another added, "I can't really make a judgment call here because I can see it both ways, but I will say that you should try to get one of those privacy screen protectors so that only the person directly in front of the iPad can clearly see what's on the screen." And a third posted, "I do think you could have a bit more sense and discretion than to watch something like that besides a child. It's a thing I notice, people don't look around them and temper their behavior to suit the surroundings." My husband admitted to having a work wife and made a devastating confession. A woman has sought advice from people online after her husband made a confession that's left her rattled. When coming home drunk one night, she claims he revealed that he'd told his work wife he would be with her if he was single. The wife asked people if they thought this could be considered cheating and explained her husband works long hours and buys his colleague little gifts when she's feeling down. The wife went on to say that her partner said he felt guilty for telling his colleague this and blamed it on being drunk at the time. Her post ignited fierce responses from people, as at the time of writing it has received over 200 replies. She posted to a forum on Mumsnet saying, "My husband told me he had a work wife a few months back. All happy and open about it, so I didn't mind at all. The other day he confessed that although nothing happened between them, he told her that if we weren't married then he would be with her. Is this cheating? Not sure how I feel right now." Everyone who has commented supports the original poster, saying they believe her husband is being disrespectful and hurtful. Some have even gone as far as to tell her to leave him. "I think he was being manipulative. He used the term work wife to see if you reacted. Then, when you didn't, he pushed it a bit further and said he'd be with her if he weren't with you. He's being trying to gauge your reaction to a potential affair/existing emotional affair, by using colloquialisms like work wife," one person wrote. "I would feel very uncomfortable about it. I would have a chat with him and tell him it needs to stop. He cannot be married but have work wife who he hasn't done anything with, yet, because he has married. It's so disrespectful towards you and your marriage," said another. A third added, "That is a crush on a colleague, not a work wife. As the thread went on, the woman continued to elaborate on the conversation with her husband. She revealed that the work wife in question said if he wasn't married she would happily be with him. The original poster also expressed concern that they could be getting into emotional affair territory. Comments went on to tell her that this situation was a disaster waiting to happen. Some even said that being drunk can reveal a person's true nature. The heartbroken woman said after reading people's comments she spent all night awake worried and asked him questions. When she did, her husband admitted that he and his colleague walked home together and held hands but claims they didn't kiss or sleep together. She went on, he doesn't seem to think any of this is an affair and doesn't believe in emotional affairs as he swears he hasn't kissed her, although he said they had a moment when they stared into each other's eyes the night where they were drunk. I can't even breathe ATM at the moment, just sitting on my bed upstairs. Her husband has said he will find a new job but made it clear that his colleague goes to the same gym as him and he doesn't plan on leaving. He also revealed that he bought her chocolates for her birthday. Commenters were quick to tell her to leave him. Find your gumption and tell this abusive loser to get out, one person wrote. Even if he does change jobs, his cheating will continue and accelerate at the gym and elsewhere. Kick him to the curb, said another. What a monster, treating you like his sister as he shares how he is wooing his new girlfriend. It's clear now. He has unilaterally opened up your marriage and is rubbing your face in it. He has an agenda to discard you and is goading you to end it, a third commented. A fourth added, if you fight for your marriage and win I guarantee you will be doing this again in 2 or 3 years' time. This man is not a prize OP. He is a shallow seeker of greener things. His commitment is not to you, it's to himself. Woman horrified to find live parasitic worm wriggling around in pack of salmon. A woman ignited a social media frenzy with a disgusting video clip showing what looks like a live worm wriggling about inside a box of packaged salmon. The TikTok user named Rachel Lynn, with the username @msrachelin, has shared a short video on the platform that has caused a stir. In the video, a packet of salmon from Costco is seen with a live worm moving around inside. The video has become very popular, with over 2.2 million views. Rachel's caption on the video reads, "Brah, not the live worms in the salmon at Costco, immediately put it back." She also used the hashtag Costco along with an emoji to express her surprise. People on social media have been expressing their disgust and concerns. Some users have asked if Rachel informed the store staff so they can address the issue and prevent any health problems. Among them, user Nathanarbuckle4 voices a concern for public health. Did you notify the staff so they can get in touch with the supplier and save people from getting sick? Others have made jokes about the situation, wondering if the worm came at an extra cost or if it was just an added source of protein. Injecting a dose of humor amidst the discomfort, user Mel suggests that it was additional protein, included in the price. There are comments from people who have seen similar things at Costco, suggesting that this might not be an isolated incident. Anita Fonseca 347 chimed in that I've seen that too at Costco. Some users are using humor to cope with the situation, making light of the extra protein found in the salmon. User 71461777713006 injects a humorous touch as well, musing that I think the price is the worst problem. Is it extra for the worm? While some are making light of the situation, there are also serious concerns about food safety. Many users are urging Rachel to notify the store so they can take action. User 5383136494874 raised the health concern, pleading, "Did you notify the store so they can take care of it?" In the midst of these reactions, one person even mentioned that this incident has made them hesitant to eat seafood altogether. Carl Erickson quipped that it was just another reason for me to never eat anything that comes out of the water. This viral TikTok video has put the spotlight on the quality of products from major retailers like Costco and has raised questions about the source and safety of the seafood they sell. My husband isn't speaking to me after I complained about our neighbors having noisy sex. A woman has revealed how she has fallen out with her husband because she complained after getting fed up with listening to their neighbors having loud sex through the wall. The couple, who are currently on vacation, are having a bit of a dry spell in the bedroom department and their fellow holidaymakers' antics were not helping matters. Taking to Reddit to find out if she was in the wrong, the 38-year-old woman wrote, "We have been together for 14 and this is our first trip without our kids. Part of the reason we have taken this trip is to rekindle the relationship. This is a 2-week trip and we are on day 9, for context, we have had sex once. We were both drunk, and I think we both forced it a bit. We get on great as people, but our sex life has been an issue since we had children." She went on, "This has only gotten worse since last year my husband told me he loves me but doesn't find me attractive sexually anymore, which was upsetting and hurtful as in the past 3 years I have gained over 100 pounds. The wife went on to say that the 5-star resort they are staying at is amazing with a private pool for each room, but her husband has managed to find fault with everything: the staff, the food, and the other guests. Continuing the story, she wrote, 5 days ago in the room next door a young British couple took the room. For context, they are both very attractive. If I found out they were Instagram models or something I would not be shocked. The issue is each room shares a wall with another room, and we share a room and a lower balcony where we can see their terrace with this couple. Since they have arrived we have heard them having sex more or less twice a day. In addition, when they are sat on the terrace they are kissing and all over each other. In addition, the woman next door is sunbathing topless. I know we are in Europe and that's the norm, but I find it hard to get used to. My husband quickly befriended them over the balcony, and truthfully I think lusting over the woman next door, who I think was oblivious to this. I have also spoken to them both and they seem nice. The 38-year-old then revealed that after being woken up in the middle of the night twice to the sound of them having sex, and again the following morning, she went and asked the concierge if they could ask them to keep it down. Obviously having been told something, last night the man next door angrily told my husband if he had an issue he should have said something directly. My husband did not know I had reported it, and we then argued all yesterday evening, she said. My husband called me ridiculous and a prude and that if I was more carefree we wouldn't have any issues. I also brought up his obvious like of the woman next door and he angrily said why wouldn't I, she is young, thin and hot, which was an obvious dig of what I am not. He then angrily walked around the hotel room before going to sleep in silence. This morning I woke up to a text that he had gone to hike up a hill/mountain. This takes all day and we had decided earlier in the trip we wouldn't do it. Since he returned we have hardly spoken, and we were supposed to go out for dinner but he has suggested we just order room service. Am I the hole for complaining about the couple next door? Or is he in the wrong for leaving me in the hotel all day on vacation? While many people were inclined to offer little sympathy for the woman, lots rushed to give her some support. One person wrote, "You don't need a vacation, you need therapy. You two seem to have serious issues that a different bedroom isn't going to solve. If you are both intent on saving your marriage, you owe it to yourselves to at least try counseling or therapy. Your husband is the biggest asshole present, but you're taking out your frustrations on innocent bystanders," added another user. It's not the younger lady's fault that your husband is an inappropriate horn dog. It's not their fault that your vacation isn't having the restorative effect you were hoping for. And honestly, I don't think the main issue is that they're having sex. The main issue is that your husband sounds terrible, and he's making you feel terrible, and you're searching for a reason to be feeling terrible that isn't the doom of your long-standing relationship. However, someone else blasted, "You're the hole. I know you're hoping we'll judge you versus your husband, but that's not the thing that's ultimately at the core of the AITA judgment. You took out your insecurities and dissatisfaction with your vacation on a couple on their own vacation." Woman slams frustrating Ryanair seatbelts that barely fit average-size passengers. A woman claims she was lassoed into her chair by short seatbelt on a Ryanair flight. Katie Higgins says that plus-size passengers are exposed to looks of disgust from fellow travelers if they ask for extenders. The beautician was traveling from Glasgow, Scotland, to visit family in Cork, Ireland, and opted for Ryanair as the budget airline offered a direct flight between the two cities. After the 33-year-old boarded the flight, she discovered that she was in for an uncomfortable journey, saying that the seatbelt was so tight it lassoed her to her seat. Katie explained that the seatbelt had no give and that there was barely an inch of room left when she pulled on the uncomfortably tight fabric that was cutting into her stomach. She said would have had to ask for an extender belt if the material was any tighter, despite the fact that she matches the profile of the average UK woman at a dress size 16. Katie says that she isn't delusional and knows she is a bigger woman, but was left baffled when the belt didn't fit as she had lost 2 stone in weight. The part-time blogger shared her experience on Facebook where she claimed that the budget airline's tight seatbelts could harm the self-esteem and mental health of plus-sized passengers. She said that the short belts are fundamentally a safety issue and believes that the airline could be viewed as fatphobic by some flyers. The activist is now calling for the public to listen to the concerns of plus-sized people rather than telling them to lose weight or accusing them of demanding bigger seats. Katie, from Ayrshire, Scotland, said, "I flew on Friday, and I was lassoed by the seat belt. It just fitted, but if it had been digging into me anymore, I would have been very uncomfortable. But if someone else was a different shape or a different size, they might not be able to tie it." With other airlines, you can usually pull the length of the belt a little and try to adjust it, but there was none of that. It was across me, and there was about an inch of room at the bottom and nothing else. If it was any tighter, I would have been very uncomfortable on the flight. There was no give. I'm not delusional, I know I'm a bigger woman. But there has to be some bit of give, especially since I lost 2 stone in weight. Because it just fit, I didn't say anything. I didn't want to take one of the extender belts from someone who might need it. It's very frustrating. There must have been other people on the flight in a worse position than me. If it just fits, even if it's a bit tight, I'll let someone else use the belt. I think anyone who has experienced fat phobia could see it that way. I have unfortunately experienced a lot of this kind of thing. I don't think it's fat phobic, but I think a lot of people could see it that way. I think it's them cutting corners more than being fat phobic. A size 16 is the size of the average UK woman. By this logic, the average person needs an extender. Katie questioned why larger people should have to bring their own seat extenders, which is an option on Ryanair. Do they expect us to just hang on to something and hope for the best? But people are like, oh, you want bigger seats, you should lose weight and so on, but this is about safety. We don't want bigger seats. It's the belt. You wouldn't get into a car with a belt that doesn't fit. Your safety shouldn't have to be compromised, she added. Katie said that her confusion only heightened on her flight home when she was given a fitting seat belt, which led her to claim that flying with Ryanair is like potluck. After posting about the incident on social media, Katie said she was contacted by several plus-sized women who had been left feeling embarrassed after having to request a belt extender on a flight. Katie said, I flew on Friday, and I was lassoed by the seatbelt. I flew back again on the Monday and the seatbelt was looser. So unless I'm doing magic tricks over the weekend, this is a bit of an issue. I was scammed out of £3,600 on Facebook Marketplace. I had no reason to doubt the deal. A beauty therapist has warned social media users after a garden office she bought on Facebook Marketplace was never delivered. Lisa Fletcher spent £3,600 to secure a ready-built shipping container office from a man after spotting the listing on the e-commerce platform. The 46-year-old woman transferred the cash after exchanging messages and phone calls and receiving official-looking invoices on business-headed paper. But she had fallen victim to Facebook Marketplace scammers and the office was never delivered. Now, the beauty therapist is out of pocket for the £3,600 office, loss of earnings, and buying and converting a new container. To make matters worse, she'd burned her old office to make room for the new one, and her bank will only refund half the amount. Lucy, who is from Evesham, Worcestershire, is speaking out after a recent study showed the number of scams on Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp surging. Lucy said, I feel really vulnerable now. This guy now has my address, he's had a lot of my money and I've lost out on work, so I've lost business as well. It was just how professional the scammers were. I had no reason to doubt any of it at all. The emotional stress has been unbelievable. It's been an absolute mess. If I've been scammed, and I think I'm quite switched onto it, if other people aren't already, then they need to be more aware basically. Lucy wanted to upgrade to her beauty therapy studio so she could offer laser hair removal. The seller on Facebook said the room would be delivered to her property and provided her a quote from a business email address on headed paper. She also received an invoice on headed paper with bank details, and when she transferred the money, the details matched with a business bank account. Before the transfer was completed, Santander rang Lucy to check she was happy to go ahead and she confirmed she was. After the payment had been made, Lucy arranged delivery on July 24, but 5 days on she hadn't heard from the seller. On the day of delivery, she was told the salesman she had spoken to was out of office. Then her husband called and he was told the container was on the way. It never arrived and Lucy has been unable to work because she demolished her old studio to make way for the new one. She said when she complained to Santander, they told her they weren't going to refund her as they called to check she was happy, and suggested she should have checked Trustpilot. Lucy feels Santander should have told her what checks to do to make sure the business was legitimate. Lucy said, they said the container was on the way, and then we didn't hear anything after that. My husband called again, and they said the person he'd spoken to earlier was out of office, but he could tell he was speaking to the same person who was now claiming to be someone else. He was obviously pretending to be a number of different people on this one phone number. There was no delivery, we've heard nothing at all from them. I literally burned down my existing salon to make space for the container. I was left with nowhere to operate my business from. Now I've found a new container which I've had to do some work on, but at least I have somewhere to work from. I feel really annoyed. Santander should have given me a bit more security other than are you happy with this? They should have said we won't process this until you've checked Trustpilot. An investigation earlier this month found that scams on Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp are the source of more than 1 million cases of fraud every year. An estimated 16% of all crimes recorded by the police in 2022 originated on platforms owned by social media giant Meta, it said, more than double the number of robberies, burglaries, homicides and knife crimes combined. A spokesperson for Santander said, our fraud prevention measures detected that this transaction was potentially fraudulent and blocked the initial payment. However, following a phone conversation with Mrs. Fletcher, the payment was completed. We have thoroughly reviewed this case and, in line with the contingent reimbursement model, CRM, code, given the specific circumstances, have offered to reimburse half of the money lost to Mrs. Fletcher. Woman whose maths teacher shared nudes she sent to her boyfriend gets just $10,000 in damages. A woman whose former maths teacher shared nudes she sent to her boyfriend has been awarded just $10,000 in damages. Caitlin Cannon, 29, sent the explicit photos in 2016, 4 years after graduating school, to her then-boyfriend when 2 years later they appeared on a Dutch website that was littered with non-consensual pornography. It later turned out the person responsible for sharing her intimate pictures was her former maths teacher, Christopher Doyle, who worked at Wall High School in New Jersey. Caitlin admitted she had no idea how Mr. Doyle was able to obtain the pictures from her old boyfriend to his computer. It was revealed during an Ocean court hearing that the IP address which posted the victim's photos was linked to Mr. Doyle's address, causing Caitlin to break down in tears during her testimony last week. She revealed after the nudes were posted online in 2018, she was left with dozens of Facebook requests from men across her state, with her parents and grandparents receiving phone calls from men breathing heavily and demanding to speak to her. In addition, some of the pictures contained her face as well as her first name. Caitlin revealed she was diagnosed with PTSD and prescribed antidepressants when she discovered the man responsible was her former maths teacher. She has lost friends and still suffers from panic attacks as it still remains unclear how Mr. Reynolds was able to access the pictures. It was claimed Mr. Doyle may not have been the first person to have seen or shared the photos online, with the victim's lawyer successfully getting the pictures removed 2 weeks after they were uploaded. Despite Caitlin going to the police, they did not file criminal charges against the former maths teacher, and instead, she was given a paltry $10,000 in damages for the violation of her privacy. She told the court, "I was shocked and confused, hoping it wasn't real. I didn't think there would be someone in my life who would do this kind of thing. He's my former teacher. He's not someone who's supposed to see me that way. It ruined my whole life in New Jersey because I felt like I couldn't leave my house. I felt unsafety in my own body, feeling like it didn't belong to me anymore. Someone that is on these websites looking for photos of people they used to teach, people who are still in school, that is really concerning to me. Part of the reason I'm here today, it bothers me really deeply." Cannon's lawyer, Callie P. Madia, told Insider, "Unfortunately, despite this egregious finding, the jury awarded Casey a mere $10,000 in damages. We're obviously delighted that the jury saw through the defendant's story, but also disappointed that the award doesn't reflect the real harm the defendant caused." Mr. Reynolds resigned from his job at Wall High School after he was accused of violating the state's non-consensual pornography statute and a law against publicly disclosing private facts. People are seriously divided over proper name for leftover batter bits from the chippy. While it might not look like much to an outsider, fish and chips are a core part of British cuisine. And while the dish is loved across the country, people have debated over the correct name of a core component of the meal. Northerners and Southerners are used to disagreeing about things, and this time they're fighting over what you call the pieces of deep-fried batter left over in the fryer as a byproduct of frying fish. These tasty morsels are served as an accompaniment to chips and are traditionally served free of charge. Even though all Brits love a chippy, they can't agree on the correct name for the delicacy, and they've taken the argument to Reddit. On the casual UK subreddit, one wrote, "What does everyone call these from the chippy?" They posted the contentious question alongside a photo of the crunchy pieces on greasy paper, with people erupting in the comments. Commenters from places such as Leeds, Bradford, and Dorset said they're called scraps. One person added, "I don't think I've ever heard them called anything else." Not everyone agreed with this name though, as others said they're named bits or batter bits. "Scraps in Bradford, bits in Halifax," one Brit shared. Another user expressed, "Bits in Huds too." While there seemed to be a 50-50 split between these two options, there were some more left-field answers, such as scranchins, gribbles and chippywapples. While a quick Google will offer the names scraps, batter bits, or crispies, let us know in the comments what you think the right answer is. Chris Evans says he's extraordinarily lucky as he receives second-best diagnosis. Chris Evans, the renowned Virgin Radio DJ, has spoken about his recent skin cancer diagnosis, describing himself as extraordinarily lucky to have received what he calls the second-best diagnosis. The 57-year-old broadcaster made the announcement on his Virgin Radio breakfast show on Monday, revealing he was in the early stages of the disease. This discovery came after his masseuse noticed an unusual freckle on his lower leg. Speaking to Mike Graham on Talk TV on Tuesday, Evans expressed he was not worried about the diagnosis, explaining it is not cancerous and it is sometimes referred to it as stage 0 or precancer. He explained, "No, I'm not worried about it at all. Well, I wouldn't be worried about it if I didn't know about it, but basically what's happened is the way I frame it, is that I got the second best possible diagnosis. The first being it's all clear, it's not cancerous. The second being we couldn't have caught it any earlier, and it is sometimes referred to as precancer or stage 0. Because it's what's called in situ, which means it hasn't moved yet. It's making up its mind. And if you can catch cancer at that point, then you can remove it before it's decided what to do." It was a freckle. Chris will undergo a procedure next month to remove the precancerous patch, followed by a skin graft on his leg. Choosing to speak openly about his condition, the presenter believes public figures should use their platform for good, stating if they can be useful ever in this job of ours, or in life in general, then we should be. The former BBC Radio 1 and 2 presenter also reflected on the plight of others, saying, "There are people with thousands of times worse diagnosis, and they don't even know about it. The thing about all cancers is that in the early stages of them they don't affect you. Sick," he concluded, "you just have it, there's nothing wrong with you, zero," as other people who have had similar experiences will testify. In a candid revelation, Chris shared his insights on battling health conditions, stating, "The biggest weapon you have against this and other conditions, is time. And the biggest weapon they have against you is also time." He further explained, "So their biggest weapon against you is your lack of time or the lateness of your detection, and your biggest weapon against them is how early your detection is." Evans, who had a prostate cancer scare in 2015 but was given the all clear, opened up about his experience with skin cancer. He said, "The thing about skin cancer is it can go up, down, north, south, east, west, and you can go down into the body as well, so I'm more grateful on today than I've ever been for anything." Expressing his gratitude, he added, "I feel extraordinarily lucky, genuinely. I'm not saying this because it's a cool thing to say, but I'm very blessed and very happy to talk to you about it." The Virgin Radio DJ used his platform to urge men to check themselves, highlighting that common places missed include the middle of the back, which he said is usually not spotted by those who are single, as nobody sees it. He concluded with a powerful message, "The only thing to fear is inaction." I know that's a big deal for some people, but if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for those who love you. In January 2019, Chris made a significant career move to Virgin Radio after leaving his long-running breakfast program on BBC Radio 2 the previous year. Beyond radio, Evans has also made his mark on television, having been a presenter on Channel 4 morning show The Big Breakfast and comedy and music program TFI Friday. Louis Theroux shows off dramatic new look as he issues update amid alopecia diagnosis. Louis Theroux has urged his fans to remain calm after sharing a dramatic update on his health journey with alopecia. The legendary documentary maker took to Instagram on Tuesday to post a photo of him sporting a sparse white beard, just a few months after revealing he was suffering from the life-changing autoimmune disorder. Louis's wispy facial hair has spurted alongside the disappearance of the locks on his head, much to the 53-year-old's surprise. "New bald patches are appearing in my top hair, the hair on top of my head, but I can now grow a weird straggly and rather sparse white beard," he captioned the selfie. "So that's something." Louis also shared the positive news that there are some tiny patches of regrowth on his left eyebrow, which he revealed had also been affected by the alopecia last month. The father of three explained that he was sharing updates so that the public could acclimatize to the new partially depilate me, before joking that he had begun to resemble a half-plucked elephant bird. Louis signed off his most recent post by telling his 814K followers he's taking vitamin D, iron and biotin to treat his symptoms, but remains unconvinced the supplements are effective. Is it helping? Who knows? His loyal fans were quick to reassure the broadcaster, with many taking to the comment section to compliment his new look. "Cute as always. Hair is overrated, too," one person wrote, while another sweet follower said, "Louis, please remember that hair is both silly and temporary, and that we love you for your beautiful and inquisitive mind and uniquely refreshing personality." Back in June, Louis predicted that he might be bald by 2025 after noticing a bald spot on the back of his head. The Weird Weekend star had initially been diagnosed with alopecia barbae of the beard, which left him unable to properly grow his signature stubble. The condition appears to have migrated to affect his actual hair, however, suggesting he may be rocking a shiny scalp soon rather than later. "And now a bald patch has appeared on the back of my head, making me wonder if my proper hair might be next to go. In 2 years or less I may be bald," the witty filmmaker confessed. Kate Lawler slams Karens after she's criticized for sharing reality of her holiday. Kate Lawler hit out at the Karens who criticized her for showing the realities of going on holiday with children. The 43-year-old TV personality originally shared a post of her hectic holiday with her husband Martin Bogitos and 2-year-old daughter Noah. In the video, Kate was filmed washing clothes in the sink, attempting to brush her daughter's teeth, trying to soothe her daughter from meltdown number 17, changing diapers, as well as dealing with the millions of other things that come with traveling with a young child and 2 dogs. A little reminder that not every part of this road trip with our little ones has been magical, she captioned the post. The grid posts so far have definitely been highlights, and I think it's only right I show the lowlights too. Why? Because at times, not all the time, I felt like a failure and that I'm the only parent on holiday who's finding it tough, and I think too many parents with huge social media followings, like millions plus, only ever post the best bits, and I know it's up to each individual what they choose to share, but that edit will be making so many mums especially feel bad because their holiday didn't look like that. She said the family are having a blast, but the stress and endless chaos is hard work too. Being honest on social media didn't stop the trolls from mum-shaming her for taking her young daughter on this type of holiday. Kate was having none of it and hit back at the angry users. Kate called out the trolls who didn't even bother reading the caption before commenting their criticism. In a newer post, Kate shared a video of her and Noah making faces at the camera as she took to the caption to further explain her previous clip. I want to address the teeny tiny handful of comments about the last reel I posted. I shouldn't have to caveat each post with the fact that I love my daughter, but it seems a handful of Karens have got the wrong end of the stick and didn't even bother reading the caption before commenting, Kate wrote. Firstly, please don't tell me what I can and can't post on my own Instagram account. I wouldn't ever dream of telling even a family member what they should or shouldn't post. Secondly, the reel I posted was not for entertainment. It's hugely important for me to also share the reality of holidaying with 2 dogs and a toddler, as so many of you asked for advice, tips and recommendations about European road trips. If all I shared were sweet and smiley family photos, it would be completely disingenuous and not representative of this trip at all. I'm an honest person, which is why on stories the other day I spoke about BOJ and I falling out in the car and wanting to kill each other. As much as we've created some magical memories that we'll never forget, it's been hard at times. X Factor star Christopher Maloney's world has fallen apart over tragic family death. Christopher Maloney has been left heartbroken and says his world has fallen apart as he shared the sad news that his beloved father has died. The former X Factor star, 45, took to social media on Tuesday to announce the sad news. In a gushing post, Christopher wrote, "So today my world has fallen apart. At 8 a.m. this morning my beautiful dad has suddenly passed away at home. I am totally devastated and brokenhearted beyond any words. Thank you in advance for any well wishes or messages, and I will now be taking a social media break. Love you, Dad, with all of my heart. Rest in peace XX." Following Christopher's devastating announcement, his fans have rushed to share their support as one Twitter user wrote, "I'm so sorry, Chris. May he rest in peace," while another echoed, "So sorry for your loss, Christopher. Losing a parent at any age is not easy. Sending so much love to you." Another follower wrote, "Very sorry to hear of his passing. Prayers for peace to you and your family during this difficult time." While someone else added, "Thinking of you and your family at this very sad time and sending prayers and love your way, Chris." Christopher's loss comes after he recently gave fans an update on his most recent eyelid surgery after the X Factor star left fans concerned over his cosmetic procedure with bloody and graphic pictures. The singer, who rose to fame on the ITV talent competition back in 2012, gave fans an update on his facial transformation as he continues through the healing process. Sharing his progress on Instagram, the singer's face looked less bloody and he smiled for the selfie with his face still swollen from the surgery. The star's eyes still featured stitches across the eyelids, but it was a healed improvement compared to the shocking surgery snaps he shared with fans previously. Chris seemed in much happier spirits compared to previous updates as he said, "Thank you for all your lovely messages. Feeling so much better today. You rock." The star also opened up to fans as he told them he'd gone too far with this being his 20th cosmetic procedure. Since shooting to fame on The X Factor back in 2012, Chris has suffered from several health issues and has been plagued by his body dysmorphia, which he has previously opened up to fans over. The star has battled the mental health condition to the point that in 2017 he flew to Poland with his friend and former EastEnders star Daniela Westbrook for a rhinoplasty, eye lift and a hair transplant all at once. He was taken to hospital shortly after his procedures due to a blood clot in his leg. Overall, Chris has previously admitted to forking out a whopping £60,000 on cosmetic surgery over the years. He has undergone 3 hair transplants, 2 nose jobs, an eyelid lift and veneers in recent years and now finds that he cannot stop himself from altering his appearance. During an appearance on This Morning back in 2015, Christopher revealed that he decided to go under the knife for the first time due to the excessive amount of trolling he received on social media over his appearance. At the time, he admitted, "The X Factor was great, but as the series was going on, I was getting really bad trolls. I was called Mr. Potato Head, that I was ugly, that I had a big nose, and it just affected me so much, and at the end of the final, I did have a breakdown. I feel so much better now. It has made me more confident and now I'm looking forward to the future." Kim Wilde makes explosive claim that she has seen proof that UFOs are real. Kim Wilde is feeling vindicated after the U.S. Congress heard various accounts relating to unidentified flying objects, with the pop singer now thinking her own UFO claims will be taken more seriously. The 62-year-old music icon, whose hits include Kids in America and You Came, has been making claims relating to UFO sightings for years. But now that 3 witnesses have given evidence to the U.S. government claiming that they too saw bizarre objects in the skies above the USA, the singer feels more confident about her own experiences. Last week, former pilot Ryan Graves, Air Force and Intelligence Agency veteran David Grush and Navy veteran fighter pilot Commander David Fravor all gave evidence in the USA. Kim says the evidence shared by the servicemen give weight to her own claims about UFO sightings. Kim told the BBC, "These are like the top elite military personnel, they have been there for decades. So it wasn't just an 80s pop star who may or may not have been on the Pinot Grigio in her garden." Recalling an incident in 2009, Kim said she witnessed this extremely bright light behind light cloud. "I'm a great moon watcher, and it definitely wasn't the moon." She went on to claim the object made this incredible move, a zigzag move across the sky from say 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock, then back to 11 o'clock. She added, "I had a sense that whatever was there were very large. I had a sense of momentum for some reason. That went on for a few minutes and then it just completely disappeared." During evidence in the Congress hearing, former Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves claimed to have witnessed mysterious objects that moved in a similar way to the object Kim claimed to see. He told officials, "They would do so in very erratic and quick behaviors that I don't have an explanation for." Kim believes the evidence from military experts backs up her own story. However, this is not the first time Kim has shared her own stories about UFO encounters. Back in 2015, Kim recalled witnessing an alleged UFO while in her garden with a friend the day after Michael Jackson died, with the American singer passing away aged 50 on June 25, 2009. She said, "I feel connected to the universe and it's made me really inspired, full of wonder and hope. I believe it's similar to when someone says they've seen God." And in 2018, she shared her fear that she could be abducted by aliens after seeing strange objects flying above her house. She claimed, "There were a couple of massive lights just above the clouds, going backwards and forwards in an extraordinary way. Quite a lot of people witnessed them, it made the local papers. I'm worried they're going to come back and take me away."
Skincare specialist shares top tips to help women safely remove their facial hair. It comes as nearly 9 in 10 women claim their peach fuzz bothers them, and almost 2/3 have attempted to yank their facial hair out. A skincare specialist has shared her top tips to help women safely remove facial hair, like using an electronic facial hair remover to avoid irritation or harm to the skin. Making sure to wash and dry your face first, in order to clear the pores, and always removing hair in front of a mirror, and with good lighting, are among other pieces of advice shared by junior Dr. Kemi Fabuvisa. It comes as a survey of 2,000 adults found that 87% of women say they don't like having facial hair, with 62% having tried to yank these pesky hairs from their face. Of those who have resorted to this, 73% have reached for the tweezers to do so, while 12% have tried to pull the hairs using their nails, and another 12% have risked injury by using scissors. A small number, 2%, have even attempted to remove their facial fuzz using sellotape. And of those who want their facial hair gone, 19% say this is because it prevents them from having a smooth base for their skincare and makeup. However, while women are bothered by their peach fuzz, it seems there is a changing attitude towards hair elsewhere on their bodies, as over a fifth, 22%, are now more likely to let their armpit, leg, and bikini lines grow. The research was commissioned by Philips, makers of the Facial Hair Removal 5000 series, a new tool designed specifically for women, so they can gently remove facial hair, to look at changing attitudes towards body hair. Junior Dr. Kemi Fabuvisa, who is working with the brand, and has an interest in skincare, said, "Women today are much more concerned with finding the best hair removal tool for them, especially when it comes to their face. And rightly so, as incorrect facial hair removal can lead to hyperpigmentation, irritation and, in the worst case scenario, even scarring. Meanwhile, of the women who are happy to go unshaved, and let hair grow on other parts of their body, many say this is liberating, with 14% claiming that doing so is a way of expressing themselves. However, the findings, from one poll.com, suggest many are keeping their body hair due to wider concerns around removal methods and painful past experiences. Half are worried they'll get skin irritation or allergic reaction due to hair removal, while 33% fear they'll get spots, and 31% worry the process will hurt. Chloe Fallon, spokeswoman for Philips, said, "We know that every individual woman's grooming routine is as unique as they are, and all women should feel able to express themselves via their body hair in whatever way makes them feel most confident. If, or when, they choose to remove their facial hair, we want them to feel confident in their method of removal, and not reach for the dangerous, painful, or unsuccessful techniques we know people have resorted to in the past." Dr. Kemi's top tips for removing facial hair. Always start by gently washing and drying the area of the skin you are working with, to clear pores and help prevent irritation. Ensure you have a mirror and good lighting to clearly see where the hairs are, and the areas you want to focus on. Finally, use an electronic facial hair remover, which will gently cut the hairs close to the skin without causing friction or skin irritation, like you would see from more traditional hair removal methods. KFC boss claims it's not junk food but should only be eaten occasionally. The boss of KFC in the UK says the country's fast food giants need to help combat the obesity crisis. Megan Farren, who is in charge of a business with 1,000 outlets, says, "Obesity is a challenge and we need to do more as a collective to tackle it. We want to be part of the solution." She also admits that what KFC sells should be a treat eaten occasionally. The American fast food Goliath insists it has been doing its bit by reducing levels of fat, sugar and salt. But its Zinger Stacker burger has 7.8 grams of saturated fat, almost 40% of women's entire daily recommended limit. And its 4.49 grams of salt is 75% of an adult's recommended daily maximum, and more than children aged 10 and under should have in a whole day. 4 KFC chicken breast pieces have almost 1,100 calories, more than half a woman's daily recommended amount, and 43% for a man. But Ms. Farren, who has 2 children, says, "It is not junk food. It is not health food. It is delicious fried chicken, it is a treat, you should enjoy it occasionally." She claims one reason people like KFC is because of the calorie count. She says, "We talk to customers who say the reason they come to KFC is because they can get the calories they need. They go to McDonald's and they don't get enough calories." US-born Ms. Farren, 43, says customers visit KFC on average once every 6 to 8 weeks. She says the chain has a self-imposed 200-meter ban on advertising around schools. "And we don't market to children, at all. Are we the sole cause of the obesity crisis? Absolutely not. But I do think it is a challenge and we do have a responsibility to make a positive difference and be part of the change. But we have to do it in a way that allows us to still stay in business." Rishi Sunak still faces Commons probe over wife's shares in childcare firm. Rishi Sunak still faces another probe over Commons rule-breaking after he apologized for failing to properly declare his wife's shares in a childcare firm. The PM was found to have broken the M.P.'s code of conduct by not declaring the stake Akshata Morty had in Koru Kids when questioned by a committee in March. He then failed to correct the record in a letter to the committee chairman days later. Koru Kids is one of 6 private childcare providers set to benefit from a government pilot scheme announced by Chancellor Jeremy Hunt to incentivize recruitment of childminders. After months of back-and-forth arguments with Standards Commissioner Daniel Greenberg, Mr. Sunak eventually accepted he'd inadvertently broken the rules, and apologized. But he still faces a further probe into an alleged breach of the confidentiality rules surrounding the probe. The commissioner was reportedly furious when the PM put details relevant to the investigation in the public domain, first by publishing a letter to Liaison Committee Chair Bernard Jenkin, then in a footnote to the list of ministerial interests in early April. "I note that there has been some media coverage relating to the minority stake my wife has in relation to the company Koru Kids," he wrote in the letter, before insisting the interest had been rightly declared to the Cabinet Office. The probe found registering it with the Cabinet Office wasn't enough, and as an MP, he should have declared it to MPs as well. The updated list of ministerial interests, published in April, reads, "The Prime Minister's wife is a venture capital investor. She owns a venture capital investment company, Catamaran Ventures UK Limited, and a number of direct shareholdings." A footnote adds, "As the Prime Minister set out in his letter to the chair of the Liaison Committee on April 4, 2023, This includes the minority shareholding that his wife has in relation to the company, Koru Kids. The Standards Commissioner confirmed Mr. Sunak remains under investigation for breaching paragraph 13 of the M.P.'s Code of Conduct. Members must not disclose details in relation to any investigation by the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards except when required by law to do so, or authorized by the Commissioner, the rule reads. In a letter to the PM in June, published on Thursday, Mr. Greenberg told Mr. Sunak, "I remind you that my inquiry into whether there was a breach of confidentiality continues and I am writing to you separately today about that matter." The Standards Commissioner confirmed Mr. Sunak remains under investigation for breaching paragraph 13 of the M.P.'s Code of Conduct. Members must not disclose details in relation to any investigation by the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards except when required by law to do so, or authorized by the Commissioner, the rule reads. In a letter to the PM in June, published on Thursday, Mr. Greenberg told Mr. Sunak, "I remind you that my inquiry into whether there was a breach of confidentiality continues and I am writing to you separately today about that matter." Traffic into Burning Man festival dramatically blocked by anti-capitalist climate activists. As multiple groups of climate activists peacefully protested by stopping traffic entering Burning Man, rangers stormed through their blockades and arrested protesters at gunpoint. The climate activist group 7 Circles was arrested for trespassing on tribal land on Sunday, after online footage showed around 6 protesters blocking a rural road using makeshift materials and homemade banners reading, "Burners of the World, Unite, Abolish Capitalism and General Strike for Climate." This comes after news earlier this week that festival goers were urged to delay their arrival due to the tropical storm Hillary, at the annual event at Black Rock City. 7 Circles said the group says the protest was designed to draw attention to capitalism's inability to address climate's ecological breakdown. They caused congestion that spanned miles long. Traffic into Burning Man festival dramatically blocked by anti-capitalist climate activists. One top British surgeon and health pioneer has revealed the global health threat that he fears more than COVID. Lord Ara Darzi is a pioneering surgeon and crossbench peer in the House of Lords. He was the first person to perform robotic surgery in the country, pioneered keyhole operations, and used AI to diagnose breast cancer. Associated with reforming the NHS, Mr. Darzi has revealed what he has warned may be the next global health threat. Already responsible for killing over 1 million people a year, antibiotic resistance leads to untreatable superbugs. It's this that the health pioneer has warned is more frightening than the COVID pandemic that rocked the world. The 63-year-old Armenian refugee is so concerned by the threat posed by antibiotic resistance that he is setting up his own center to fight back against the silent pandemic. Prince William has agreed to be one of the patrons of the Fleming Centre, which will open in 2028, in Paddington, London. The pair first met years ago, working on one of the royals' mental health campaigns, and Mr. Darzi lauded William's involvement as helping them have a global impact. Its opening will mark 100 years since Alexander Fleming first discovered penicillin, something that's become a staple in GPs across the UK. But now, in part due to overuse and to mutating superbugs, antibiotics could lead to the creation of illnesses that claim millions of lives. Speaking to The Times, the crossbench peer revealed his worries and plans. He said, "In 2028 there will be as many people dying of infections that are resistant to antibiotics as died from infections in 1928 prior to the discovery of penicillin. Bacteria have been around for 3 billion years, well before humanity existed. They've survived all sorts of conditions, from the frozen world to great heat. They survived by mutating. Antibiotics are an external threat to bacteria, so they evolve constantly to become resistant to them." He added that in many ways, antibiotic resistance was more frightening than COVID, and hospitals can end up in situations without any antibiotics to treat an infection, something he warned is already happening. Mr. Darzi warned that antibiotics were being overused as doctors took the easy way out by prescribing them for colds of the flu, or just feeling under the weather, when they're there to treat bacterial infection. However, shockingly, it's not just a human problem, with some parts of the world seeing cattle plugged full of antibiotics as well, further worsening the issue. Exclusive: if Rishi Sunak got off his helicopter more, he might get what's wrong with our railways. Rishi Sunak would better understand the impact of his ticket office cull if he got out of his helicopter and took the train a bit more, a local in his patch has claimed. Sheila Cross, who uses Northallerton Station in the PM's constituency, warned the closures will be an absolute disaster for passengers. The Mirror has been inundated with messages from readers on how the plan to shut ticket counters at 974 railway stations across England will have devastating consequences. As well as closing ticket offices, train bosses want to slash the number of hours some stations are staffed, making it impossible for disabled passengers to travel. The ticket office at Northallerton, which currently is open for 13 hours on weekdays, is set to close. The station will only be staffed for just 7 hours, with no one there from 2 p.m. on weekdays. Ms. Cross, 79, said if Mr. Sunak deigned to travel by train rather than by helicopter, he might get a better idea of what life is like for ordinary voters. She said, "I'm sure Rishi Sunak means well, but he has absolutely no understanding of what life is like for the traveling public. He doesn't have to work out the cheapest and simplest way to get to his destination. He doesn't have to cope with what to do if a train's cancelled or delayed because of an incident or faulty signaling. At the moment, staff in the booking offices can help and support people with these problems, but if station staff are radically cut, as planned, then people are on their own. And many will just give up and not bother going by train anymore." Ms. Cross, who lives in Newby Visca, which is just outside Mr. Sunak's Richmond, North Yorkshire, constituency, said passengers at unstaffed stations will feel utterly stranded when there are disruptions to services. She added, "As an elderly, hearing-impaired woman who travels by train quite a lot, the closure will shake my confidence in railway travel." Have your say on plans to close your local railway ticket office. Railway stations outside London. Train operators have provided details of which ticket offices are set to close. Passengers can have their say by filling in this form on the Transport Focus website. Alternatively, you can send feedback by post to this free post address: Free Post Retays Age Bikes, Transport Focus, P.O. Box 5594, Southend-on-Sea, SS19PZ. If you need assistance to provide feedback, then you can contact Transport Focus by phone on 0300 123 2350. The closing date for comments is September 1st, which is Friday.